in food and the other to make honey. God mentioned this in the Quran that He gave to Muhammad over 1400 years ago. You know, there are so many evidences. I've just given you a couple. It's like it's all, when it all comes pieces together, it's like, how can this not be the truth?
These are two very like minute things, like the bees and the waves, sure. He's mentioned a lot the prophecy of the war between the Roman Empire and the Persians. That was it, the Romans would lose the war within 3 to 9 years.
Exactly.
Well, if Muhammad travelled a lot as a prophet, he was a trader beforehand.
Yeah.
He went to Syria and stuff like that. He could have known from the disposition of the two empires, from talking to people within Syria, within Antioch, Damascus, wherever, that something like this could happen. Because the Romans and the Persians have been fighting wars for centuries beforehand.
Yeah.
It's not a huge statement, it's not a huge prophecy to say that the Romans are going to be defeated in a war against the Persians if they've been fighting wars constantly, losing one side, losing the other.
It's not necessarily a big prophecy saying there's going to be a war. But the way he predicted it via the Quran, because it wasn't his prediction, it was God telling him what will happen. And the Romans will be defeated by the Persians, means, and you have to understand the Romans at that time were a super giant. And yes, they would go to wars with the Persians, but they wouldn't be defeated. So that is where the prophecy comes in. But as you said,
they had defeated the Persians in the past.
Not in the manner that they defeated them from 3 to 9 years after this verse was revealed. It wasn't in the manner. It was known to be different, and that's why it's recorded in history books.
Remind me, because my history is getting mixed up now. Did the Romans defeat the Persians?
غُلِبَتِ الرُّومُ فِي أَدْنَى الْأَرْضِ, meaning the Romans have kind of وَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ غَلَبِهِمْ سَيَغْلِبُونَ. The Romans were overcome between 3 to 9 years. But again, this is one of many examples. So you got, for example, the bees, you got, example, the waves, and these are modern science day examples. Then you have all the other evidences, such as the beautiful language that is used in the Quran.
Was this the intention of Allah when you revealed these things, to show in the future as a proof to people that how could Muhammad have known about the bees, about the waves?
Exactly.
Was this the intention?
So within these prophecies, you can say, well, it's not really prophecies because that means it comes from a prophet, but actually it's from God through the Quran. What it does, it proves the validity of the Quran. God is giving us signs showing us that actually this is the right way, this is the right path, this is the path that He wants us to follow.
Is this His intention?
To say is His intention, again, as we spoke before, because He's the creator, as a creation, I can't say God wanted this, and this, but we go up based on what He's told us. So of course, behind this, from the wisdoms of giving such, miracles, is to guide people. If you want, you can take this. Finish it. Yeah, it's okay. I think we've got some water as well, if you want some water. Water. Yeah, water. Yeah. No, it's okay.
Go on, what's...
No, I want to make sure you have water first. Muslims were taught to be extremely generous. Yeah. But yeah, so the point is that so you can say, for example, the wisdoms behind it. Again, we don't know all the wisdoms. To say that we know what God wanted is one thing. But to say that we can extrapolate some things, for example, yes, when God says these miracles are going to happen, and they are, especially if they're, for example, something that is not necessarily likely to happen, or something that is not known to mankind, then when it happens, it increases the validity of the Quran, and someone like you, for example, your faith in the Quran, that this is actually the word of God.
But the verse itself, about the bees, about the waves, it's just tangential to these that in the future we've come to see that they're actually correct scientifically.
As in, over 1400 years ago we didn't know that, and now today we know that? Exactly.
It wasn't the intention to 1400 years later for us to come to the realization of this.
But that's the thing, right? We believe that the Quran is timeless. If it's timeless, then it's suitable for every time and every place. And therefore, yes, and I don't know everything about Islam, so I have to refer to people who are more knowledgeable than me. So I asked one of my teachers. We all do, exactly. So I asked one of my teachers about this, and he said, actually, yes, there would be certain stages in Islam, before, for example, modern science, where they wouldn't maybe understand how there were waves underneath waves, but they'd believe in it. And so therefore that proves that the Quran is timeless. And if it's timeless, then it's perfect for every single time and place. Just how it's perfect for you now and us as a civilization in the 21st century. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds consistent.
So if this revelation is consistent and it's valid, then surely the one who has been sent this revelation is also consistent and valid, the Prophet Muhammad. And he had his own, not just via the Quran, he had his own miracles. You know, for example, being, there's many miracles, for example, being extremely strong, or for example, having the seal of prophethood on the back of his neck. Which,
His night journey is the splitting of the moon.
the splitting of the moon, exactly. You know this stuff. You've built a good foundation from yourself. It feels like you know what the truth is and it is trying to come out of you and you just want to follow it.
I don't know if in truth Muhammad did split the moon. I don't know if he did. He went to Jerusalem during the night.
He went to Jerusalem on one night, yeah. But ultimately, look, these are based on textual evidences, right? We believe God says in the Quran, اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر, meaning the hour, meaning the day of judgment has come close and the moon has split. Textual evidence. Then, to back it up, modern day evidence, scientists have found recently that actually there was a time where the moon was split. Yeah. My brother knows more, but he's into physics and whatnot. But the point is that, and you mentioned another one, for example. What was the other one you mentioned?
The night journey?
The night journey. Again, we have textual evidence. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله. Meaning, praise be the one who took his servant, meaning Muhammad. He took Muhammad, God took Muhammad, and sent him on a night journey to Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem from Masjid al-Haram in Mecca. Now, to add further textual evidences, when he came back, the Arabs at the time, they were like, how could you possibly go there in one night and come back? When he told them about it. And so they started to test him. They said, okay, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, it looks like, what does it look like? And what God we believe from the authentic text, we believe that when Prophet Muhammad was having a conversation with them, God showed him the Al-Aqsa Mosque and he described it to them as he was looking at Al-Aqsa Mosque. Again, textual evidence to backing up the points that were in the Quran, the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad.
Okay. Can we get back to why Prophet Muhammad is the seal of the prophets, why he is the prophet?
Good, fantastic. These are amazing questions, by the way. So, ultimately, there has to be an end to everything, no? There has to be an end to your life. There has to be an end to certain feelings that you go through. There has to be an end to everything. And we believe that there is an end to this world. And if there's an end to this world, we also believe that there is a judgment day. And ultimately, this judgment day, people will see the consequences of their actions that they've done in the world. You cannot be someone bad and treat people very badly and murder and kill people and not expect any consequence. And so the day of true justice is the final day. And then afterwards, the hereafter. We believe Muslims that if you've done good in this world and you followed what God wants from you, you will enter heaven, paradise. And if you've done bad in this world, you enter the hellfire. So,
I mean, is heaven a garden under which rivers flow? Will be seated on thrones.
Yeah.
We'll have beautiful women.
yeah, that's the paradise.
What about for the women?
But let's get on to that. Remind me of that question.
And
But-
another question. Please.
Yeah.
These women that will be with us in paradise if we go there, inshallah. Are they real human women that have existed on the planet in our time as humans, or are they some sort of spirit, some sort of jinn or something like that?
Beautiful questions. Let's save them because we need to go to a more important question, which is why is Prophet Muhammad the last messenger?
Of course.
So we said, okay, the day of judgment, that's where the day of true justice will come, and then you'll go into the next stage, which is heaven or hell. We agree on that, right? So if there's a day of judgment where everything cuts off, then there has to be eventually a last prophet. The question is, as we said before, if this is the last prophet, we said that he is the best prophet, and therefore he's come with the best revelation. in order to be the seal of prophets. As God says in the Quran, Khatam al-Nabiyyin, meaning he is the seal of all prophets. And in another, so that is the point of it. There has to be an end to it. There has to be an end to the line of the prophets. And it's very interesting because Prophet Muhammad, the peace and praise be upon him, he never had any sons that lived, past puberty. And if he did, one of them could claim, oh look, Prophet is my direct father.
Prophet Muhammad was just a human. He affirmed constantly he was just a human.
Beautiful.
Sent here like anyone else.
Beautiful. We have the same beliefs. So that's the main thing that we agree on. And we go into the tangents such as what will we get in Jannah? Was the question? So what we'll get in Jannah, as Muslims, we believe that we die doing what God wants from you, meaning worship Him alone according to the right faith, Islamic faith, what the Prophet Muhammad taught us and how to worship God and how to live our lives. Then we will get in Jannah what God has described to us. But we have to know the principle first of all, which is whatever He's described for us, in Jannah, we don't truly fathom it until we're there. And that adds to the beauty of it. How can we say,
But was it not described in the Quran?
It was described. It was described for sure. It was described. But we don't truly fathom it. I'll give you an example. Death is described. We all know we're going to die. We all know we're going to be in that coffin or in that underneath the ground 6 foot deep. But do you know how it feels? No, but we understand the concept. And so just with Jannah, with paradise, we understand that there'll be rivers flowing. There'll be 4 different types of rivers, and you can drink from those rivers, and you'll be having so much fun. And anything you want, you've got, as you wish.
But why?
Can you fathom it? No, because you don't have it. That's the point of it.
But why describe it?
In order to kind of motivate people and to achieve that. You want to describe something. When I describe something extremely in detail, I say, for example, I have a beautiful jewelry diamond ring. It's got beautiful curves on the outside with 24 specific diamonds within the main diamond. I'm like, wow, I want this. If I show you, for example, I have a jewel behind my back, I show you the jewel, then I put it back behind my back. You're going to say to me, I want to see that jewel again. Or you're going to say, how do I get a jewel? And that's the point, when you describe it, it motivates you in order to achieve that.
So it's sort of dangled in front of you like it's a prize.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it seems to me kind of carnal. It seems kind of material to desire these things. Like surely the afterlife should be immaterial. It should be. I say should be. Who am I to say what should be? But
you're right.
These things, they're things in this life, in this earthly life, that would appeal to us. The jewels, the women, the beautiful women. The gardens and the rich rivers flow, the thrones, the golden thrones facing each other.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful what you're saying.
It sounds beautiful, but it's something that would appeal to us as humans, as materialistic humans on this earth now. But when we die, why do these things matter?
Good. That's a beautiful question. Amazing question. Which is the answer to it is when you want someone, for example, let's say you have goodness. You have something that's really good and you really want to share it, but everyone around you may be reluctant or they don't really know about it. You want to entice them in order to bring them in for them to share the goodness with you.
But surely you should be enticed more by model perfection, by being a good person. That should entice you more than material things.
But if that is the nature of people, then you have to use the nature of people in order to entice them. How do we know the nature of people is woman, is beautiful things, cattle and that kind of stuff? Because God says in the Quran, He says زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ وَالْقَنَاطِيرِ الْمُقَنطَرَةِ مِنَ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ وَالْخَيْلِ الْمُسَوَّمَةِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ وَالْحَرْثِ ذَلِكَ مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. He says we have beautified or made it like really pleasant to people. The woman, as a man we have desires, we love women, حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ, and to have children. You want your lineage to be a strong lineage. You want your children, whether they be male or female, to be successful people, good people on this earth, no? And so He's made those things desired towards us. Also, cattle. The fact that you can have a farm, for example, or you can ride a horse or a camel, especially previously as well, it worked as a mode of transport and a means of food, means of provision. And so, therefore, if we have things that those are things that we desire. And so if we desire those things, then surely they can be used in order to entice us. You like women, I like women. And so, therefore, using women, for example, to be in the paradise enticing us and motivating us to be that good person, motivating us to be as best person we possibly can, and also follow the right guidance from God. Does that make sense?
But to use wealth and riches, it doesn't appeal to me personally. Like I feel like the appeal
But that's
to be a good human, to be a force for good, you know.
yeah.
I know with Islam, it's you're very focused on living in this world and building yourself in this world and helping people around you to be materially comfortable. But in the afterlife, these things, I don't know.
That's the thing, right? As I said before, we don't truly fathom the afterlife. As Muslims, yeah.
Because these things they come with like pain and pleasure. It's chaos. Like they come with like. Sort of.
It comes with not necessarily defeats, but it comes with hardship.
It comes with hardship. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the whole point. That's what I was saying to you before, like fathoming it. For example, let's take the example of women. Yes, we might have to go through certain difficulties, go through breakups, that kind of stuff. But that same feeling with women, we won't have an afterlife, even though there are women there. Exactly, because the women are perfect, we're perfect, not perfect in that sense, but our situation is an amazing situation. There's no stress, there's no worry. And also God will give us things that we don't need to worry over. And so yes, there's a comparison.
Are these things, these women, these thrones, these gardens, are they representations or are they literal?
No, they're literal. They're literal. But again, as we said, your feelings for them in this world won't be like your feelings for them in the next world.
They'll be to the highest form.
And without any lows. Without any lows. Because why? Because that is ultimately the hereafter where there's no sadness. That is the hereafter where we're aiming for. How can it be the hereafter be the same joys as this world? And don't get me wrong, you know, when you do good deeds, God also says in the Quran that when you do good deeds, سارعوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم وجنة عرضها السماوات والأرض أعدت للمتقين. You know, he says, race towards goodness or race towards his mercy, and you know, like a Jannah, meaning paradise, the size of the heavens and the earth, the skies of the earth. Meaning, it's not just based on what we're enticed by, or you can say desires. It's based on other stuff. He's teaching us that do good, and via this doing good, get into paradise via his mercy. When we do good, you know, we feel like, okay, we're doing good so we can achieve paradise, we can achieve heaven. You agree with that? I think you agree.
That doing good would lead us to paradise.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. Rather, doing good is the only thing that will lead us to paradise. Not necessarily enticing in its own. Doing good leads us to paradise, and then just before entering is for the mercy of God.
You say there's no lows. It's the highest form. Say specifically with these women that we will inherit if we come to Jannah. Will we take our pleasure with these women? Will it be carnal like that as well?
So
like
ultimately, yeah. So
the highest form. What is the highest form of carnal pleasure? I don't know.
So ultimately, let's go necessarily away, because this is a very specific example. Ultimately, in Jannah, if you enter Jannah, you will get anything you want, anything your soul desires. وَفِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِيهِ الْأَنفُسُ وَتَلَذُّ الْأَعْيُنُ. As God says in the Quran, He says, whatever you want in Jannah is yours, what you desire. And whatever you love to look at is yours. وَتَلَذُّ الْأَعْيُنُ. Meaning you see stuff and you're like, wow, this is amazing. So the point is, it's not revolved around women. It's not revolved around what women want in Jannah. No, it's revolved around, you know, beauty, rewards from what we've done in this world. Yeah? So what you want.
Literally, you will have this woman.
If you want a woman, you have a woman.
Only if you want.
Of course, because it's wanting. Like for example, if you want fruits, for example, as God says that there are fruits in Jannah. If you want fruits, you get fruit. So the main principle is not around women, it's not around fruits, it's whatever you want, you will get. Whatever you desire, if you enter Jannah, you will get that. But there's a condition to enter Jannah.
Why do we want these things on this earth, in this life? We want them to sate our pleasures. We want a good woman to make us happy to be with them. We want to eat good food to feel the pleasure of eating the food.
Yeah.
We want to drink good. Is it? It's not alcohol in the rivers somewhere.
There is alcohol,
Is it?
but it's not.
Well,
It won't toxicate.
intoxicate.
Yeah, it's different. And also,
We want these things to say our pleasures in this life. In the next life, will they say us as well?
this is a good question, and I think you're alluding to something else, which is what there may be some stuff in Jannah that we have never experienced in this world. So, if there's stuff in Jannah you've never experienced in this world, that proves that you cannot truly fathom what Jannah is going to be like, even if it's referring to stuff that we know, such as, for example, wine. And for example, that proves my point. Wine in this world won't be like wine in the next in Jannah. And so that may be the same, for example, with women. That's my point. It's based on the principle. We can't truly fathom it, and anything you want, you'll get. And it'll be better than anything you've achieved in this world.
So is it sort of like, you know, Plato,
What's that?
Greek philosopher Plato?
I don't know, man.
He had like the idea of the forms, like there's God created perfect forms of things that are, and everything else on this material level is like a shadow of that. So like wine here is like a shadow of wine, of the perfect form of wine, or like
Generally, as Muslims, we believe that your main focus should be in the hereafter. We have a specific dua, supplication that we say as well, which is رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Meaning, oh God, give us good in this world. آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً. Give us good in this world, good in the next world, and save us from the hellfire. Those are 3 supplications. 2 of them are specifically for this world, for the next world, for the hereafter. Save us from the fire and give us good in the next world, meaning give us Jannah. 1 of them is for this world. And so this gives us the balance that we have to have as Muslims. The main focus is what is happening, is coming next, hereafter. But you have to focus, you have to be able to have certain parts of this world in order to achieve Jannah. That's why God says, وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. Don't forget your parts from this world. I'll give you an example. You want to worship God in the mosque, true monotheistic faith, you worship Him. How do you get to the mosque? You've got to get a car because it's so far. So you're going to buy a car. Are you going to say, oh look, the car I have, it's from the dunya, I can't have it? Do you get it? And so that part where we say, okay, you have...
It's from the dunya. Can you explain dunya? What's this?
Meaning it's from this world. It's from the pleasures of this world. But you use it in order for the betterment of your hereafter. You're using your car to go to the mosque or to worship God in a monotheistic manner.
You need these things.
Exactly, you need things, certain things from this world. If they help you to get into the hereafter, the Jannah, we can use it, no problem. But to say our main focus...
These things are good.
Exactly, these people are good in that sense.
But it's the way you use them.
Exactly. Is our main focus, I want to buy that car specifically, just on... No, we want to use that car in order to do good. That makes sense? I think we are generally on the same beliefs. What do you think?
Yeah.
Because... yeah, go on.
Generally on the same beliefs, yeah.
I want to ask you a question now, a very important one. You're asking all these in-depth questions about Jannah. You know there's a condition to Jannah. There's a condition to get into paradise. That condition, as the Prophet Muhammad, he mentioned, peace and praise be upon him, من قال لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة. And another hadith, من قال لا إله إلا الله خالصا من قلبه دخل الجنة. وكما قال, he said, whoever says there is no God worthy of worship from his heart, sincerely, then he will enter Jannah. Meaning there is no God worthy of worship and Prophet Muhammad is his final messenger.
And this appeals to people of the book, like the Jews and the Christians. Not necessarily Muslims.
To everyone.
So not necessarily Muhammadur Rasulullah, but just La ilaha illallah and believe it truly and practice it and you'll inherit Jannah.
No, it's talking about, because the other hadiths and other verses in the Quran, they say that actually you cannot, part of the shahad, part of the testimony of faith is to believe in the Prophet Muhammad as he sent his, I wouldn't say messengers, but he sent his companions to all around the world, and he said when they become Muslim, it's via a testimony of faith. There is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and I, meaning the Prophet Muhammad, is his final messenger, as we spoke about, and we spoke about his revelation. So I want to ask you, if you want Jannah, you have to fulfill those conditions of saying the Shahada. So, what's stopping you saying the Shahada?
that's my idea of Muhammad and his existence on the planet, his life, his work, his mission. It's a bit of a cynical approach to it. I'd say Muhammad did the things he did and said the things he did. I don't want to call him like a madman. I don't think he was a madman.
It was different.
He may have truly believed. I can't know. But he constructed it all, his religion, the revelations in the Quran. They seem too convenient for me.
But that's the point. By the way, did you know that Prophet Muhammad, may peace and praise be upon him, was illiterate? He was illiterate, he couldn't read and write.
But how do we confirm this?
We can confirm it, number one, via the Quran. Obviously, if you don't believe in the Quran, then you can affirm it by well-known knowledge. If, for example, not even hadith,
Is there any
well-known
hadith
knowledge.
that would confirm this?
Yes, there are hadiths that will confirm this by Zayd ibn Thabit. But even that, even from external links, it was well known that the leader of the Arabs, the leader of the Muslims, could not read and write. It was well known. You ask, for example, the leader of the...
How would you prove such a thing? Surely Muhammad himself is the only person who could prove that.
So that is the point.
Why would he reveal it if what he wants is to build a religion and a cult of personality and form a state within Arabia?
Yeah.
I don't know what he wanted to satisfy himself.
Yeah, I guess this is a tangent, but what we're saying is that there is proof. Number one, we said from the verses in the Quran. Number two, from the companions of the Prophet Muhammad.
You mean the consistency of the Quran with the messages beforehand?
Yeah, but also no, the Quran says... Yes, but we're saying that even the companions during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, it was well-known knowledge. Even the non-Muslims, for example, that were in the Byzantine Empire knew that the leader of the Arabs, being Prophet Muhammad, peace and praise be upon him,
How did they know
did not speak, did not read and write.
How did they know this?
It was well-known knowledge. He used to send letters to them, not written by himself, but written by someone else. And also they asked about them. Just like, for example, Abu Sufyan, who was a companion, he went upon one of the leaders, and that leader asks about the Prophet Muhammad. You know? So our point is that the Prophet Muhammad, we believe that he is as we said before, he is the seal of all prophets. And he came not just for a specific nation. For example, Children of Israel and Jesus. No. We believe that he was sent for he was sent for you, he was sent for me, he was sent for the people that lived 500, 600 years ago. Why? Based on the verse in the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We did not send you except as a mercy to mankind. And he says himself in the hadith that I have been sent to the whole of mankind. Okay, what is the message? Go on.
But does it not also say that he was sent specifically to the Arab people and given a Quran in perfect Arabic?
Yes, because God chose the Arab people in order for the Quran to be revealed on them, but not solely to them, meaning not only them. And that is why you have people who did not speak Arabic becoming Muslims. You know, or people who weren't Arab becoming Muslims, such as Salman al-Farsi. Salman al-Farsi, which is the well-known companion of the Prophet Muhammad, Persian, the one who saw the seal at the back of his neck. I'm sure you know about it. He was an Arab. And then you see millions of Muslims today who don't even speak Arabic, but they're Muslims. That's the point of the verse in the Quran, that he was sent, God sent Prophet Muhammad as a mercy to all of mankind. So all of mankind includes Arabs and non-Arabs.
You would encourage people to learn Arabic and read
definitely.
Quran in the original.
Definitely, because then you're connecting with the actual language that this God revealed his revelation in. And that takes you to the next level. Because we want to understand what God wants from us. But ultimately, the concepts of Islam can be understood in any language. There's one God, worthy to be worshipped. We believe in fasting 1 month a year, prayers 5 times a day. You can understand this in any language. If you want to go further, then yes, you need to understand Arabic language. But we agree on that. So back to the Prophet Muhammad, as we said before, his revelation is a special revelation with all the miracles that were found in it, the beauty of the language that was used that cannot be replicated. Even God says in the Quran, he invokes, so he doesn't invoke, but he calls out those people who are non-Muslim during that time, in the polytheists of Mecca, says bring one chapter like this Quran. Then they couldn't. Then he said, okay, bring 10 lines like this Quran. They couldn't. He said, okay, bring one verse.
They called him a poet, a mad poet.
And they called him a poet. وَقَالُوا سَاحِرٌ مَجْنُونَ. And they called him a madman or magician.
But back to the illiteracy.
Yeah.
I he could get someone to a scribe to write a letter from him to the Byzantines. But it doesn't prove to me that he was illiterate. It seems convenient to me that he would be illiterate because then the message is coming directly from Allah. These stories, he couldn't have read these Old Testament stories that he's revealing in the Quran, which are being re-revealed. He couldn't have done that if he was illiterate. That is convenient for Muhammad.
But that's the point. The fact that he was illiterate proves that it wasn't from himself, it was from God.
Is it a fact?
Yeah, so I'm saying we have textual evidence that proves that he was illiterate, but not just based on our Islamic textual evidence. Well-known knowledge during that time that the leader of the Arabs, as I said, was illiterate. If I open up any history book, they will confirm that yes, Prophet Muhammad, he was illiterate.
But how did they confirm it?
Through basic knowledge. So for example, if you ask your grandma, I'm not sure if she's still around, if I have this specific issue in my body, medical issue, how do I deal with it? She'll be able to tell the old medicines of old in Ireland. Is that not the case? Yeah, because why? Because and then you say to her, okay, but how can I prove that this is something true or that you've learned? It's something that's passed down and common knowledge. Yeah. But how do we know that Speaker's Corner only happens on a Sunday? It's common knowledge, it's well known. It's passed down from generation to generation. People come here every Sunday only.
But who confirms the common knowledge?
It's the people. How do we know it's every Sunday that we come here?
I know.
Yeah.
How do you establish it as a fact that he was illiterate, other than Muhammad himself's word and his behaviour? Like, he couldn't read, so he never read. But he could have been fighting this.
He could have been fighting his illiteracy.
He could have been pretending to be illiterate.
Again,
How would you disprove it? You couldn't.
Again, even if he was literate, we don't believe he was illiterate. Even if he was literate, it doesn't take away from the things that you can say the prophecy and the miracles he was given by God. It doesn't take away from it. Because how would he know, for example? How would he know, for example, that the Roman Empire would be overtaken? How would he know about waves under waves?
Because he travelled to Syria and stuff like that as a merchant.
Okay, but how would he know about waves under waves? How would he know what's inside the bee? How would he know that one side of the fly has a cure and the other side has a disease? He doesn't know this
How
stuff.
would he know about the formation of the fetus in the womb?
Exactly.
I know.
That's my point.
I understand.
And all of this is adding validity to what you know that you need to believe and what you believe deep down. The validity of that. This man, this perfect man, not perfect, sorry, this amazing man was a prophet. And he brought all of these evidences to prove it. He wasn't an angel, he was a prophet.
Okay. So the illiteracy thing again, I really don't see it. And it feels like it is an important facet of Islam that he would be illiterate.
It's not necessarily an important facet. Why? Because previous prophets were literate and they still received revelation.
Sure. But it's mentioned multiple times in the Quran. How could this knowledge come to Muhammad of these stories, Jonah, Noah, all these stories that are mentioned in the Quran? How could it come to a man who is illiterate, who doesn't read or write? How could he possibly know? It's mentioned multiple times.
No, it's not mentioned illiteracy in the Quran. It's mentioned in a tradition, in hadith.
Muhammad's illiteracy is not mentioned.
In the Quran, as far as I can remember, no. No, we have
I thought I read it somewhere.
We have Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, meaning the first revelation that was sent down. God said to Prophet Muhammad, read bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, meaning in the name of the one who created, meaning God.
Say that again, sorry?
Read in the name of the one who has created, meaning read in the name of God. Then we know from the tradition, in the hadith, that he said, when it happened to him, ma ana biqari, I can't read, and this happened 3 times. So it's from the tradition, but it's not. Yes, it's in the Bukhari. I think it's in the first chapter as well, second chapter. But it's not from the Quran. It's not from the Quran. And that's the point, right? And we're saying, even if he was literate...
We believe Bukhari when he says this about the Prophet.
Yeah, we believe it. Now, even if he was literate, then he'd be like the previous prophets who were literate, but received the message or the revelation from God and portrayed it. Or you can say, showed people, then tabligh, meaning portrayed the true message of God. What is there a difference? Especially if you see, again, the stuff that he was talking about. What has illiteracy or literacy got to do with waves underneath waves? Or mountains being pegs? Or the sky being in a certain shape? What has that got to do with anything? Because even if you were literate, you wouldn't know this stuff. This is modern day science in the last 100 years or so. So all of this is adding validity. Does that make it a bit more clearer?
I suppose we can leave the illiteracy for another time.
Oh, I think we've answered it. I think I've answered it. We say even if he was
we've answered
literate,
it by saying that it's not important.
even if he was literate, it doesn't prove a change in his scripture or his validity of his, you can say, narration from God. Again, what does literacy have to do with knowing what is underneath the waves?
Have you memorized the Quran?
I have, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I'd bow to your knowledge here.
Don't bow to my knowledge. Bow to God.
Because I remember reading in the Quran that it does say that he's
It doesn't say that he's illiterate, as far as I know. Oh, Rasul al-Ummiya alladhi. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. Rasul al-Ummiya alladhi. Yeah, it's in. It's mentioned in the Quran. A messenger that was illiterate. You're right. But again, it turns back to what we're saying. It's proven in the Quran.
What's the context of this verse?
I'll have to find the verse. Yeah, because we have to look at, when you say context, look before and after.
We need the context always.
Yeah.
I know people, I've seen videos, they mention the killings, Muhammad justifying the killing of infidels. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Silly.
You're right. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay, we have هنا حسب ثلاث no? Okay. الذين يتبعون الرسول النبي الأمي الذي يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهاهم من المنكر ويحل لهم الطيبات ويحرم عليهم الخبائث ويضع عنهم إصرهم والأغلال التي كانت عليهم. Okay, so God is saying here, those ones who followed the messenger, the prophet, who was illiterate, the one that they find written in the original Torah and the original Bible. So we believe that Prophet Muhammad was actually referred to in the original Bible and the original Torah. يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهاهم عن المنكر. He tells them to do good and he prohibits them from doing evil. ويحل لهم الطيبات, and he makes like the good things halal for them, meaning permissible. ويحرم عليهم الخبائث, and all the evil things or disgusting things he prohibits for them. And the verse goes on until we have at the end, فالذين آمنوا به وعزروه ونصروه واتبعوا النور الذي أنزل معه أولئك هم المفلحون. So those ones who raise him up, meaning honor him, and they give victory to him, and they follow his guidance or his light that he was sent with, they are the true successful people.
Why did it mention in this verse that he was illiterate?
Rasul al-Nabi al-Ummi. The ones who followed the messenger of the prophet, the illiterate one, the one that they find in their original Torah and Bible. Yeah, so this is a different verse, but it's different. So it's وَاكْتُبْ لَنَا فِي هَذِهِ الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. So this is a supplication, a dua. It's saying, oh God, give us in this world and the next, or give us in this world good, and in the next world good. إِنَّا هُدْنَا إِلَيْكَ, meaning we were like guided towards you, just referring to the Jews. قَالَ عَذَابِ أُصِيبُ مَنْ أَشَاءُ, meaning this punishment, or I punish anyone who I want. وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ, and my mercy envelops everything. فسأكتبها للذين يتقون ويؤتون الزكاة والذين هم بآياتنا يؤمنون, meaning, so I will write my mercy, meaning I will give mercy to the ones who have true God consciousness and they give their zakah, obligatory 2.5% of their wealth, والذين هم بآياتنا يؤمنون, and the ones who are believing in our signs. And then it says the verse about the Prophet Muhammad. So there's no direct it's the brothers. Yeah, but as we said, even if he was literate, it wouldn't change what he came with.
Well, 100% illiterate.
Yeah, he was literate, yeah. He couldn't read and write. But obviously he could speak, obviously. And he could understand and whatnot.
And it is important. Do you think it's important?
It is important because it's mentioned in the Quran. And I thank you for mentioning it, because I said wrongly that it wasn't mentioned in the Quran, but you were right. That's the whole point. God says in the Quran, our God says in the Quran, أولئك الذين هداهم الله فبهداه مقتده. Those are the ones, he spoke about specific people, those are the ones we guided. So follow their guidance. He didn't say follow them. And so even me, I make mistakes, we all make mistakes. Even if you're the biggest Islamic scholar in the world, you're going to make mistakes. You want to follow their guidance, not follow them. So in that sense, you had the guidance. You said, no, it is in the Quran. And I didn't have the guidance. So I think...
Do we think it's an important thing that he was illiterate?
It was mentioned in the Quran, so it is important.
Okay. Why is it important?
Why is it important? Number one, it's important because it's mentioned in the Quran. But secondly, it's important so that we know the context of how the situation was. For someone to be illiterate and receive the miracles and the revelation that he had, which we've spoken about, adds more validity to this person who couldn't have come from it from themselves, especially because they're illiterate, or mainly because they're illiterate. That's the whole point of it.
How could he could never have studied the Old Testament of the Jews if he was illiterate.
Exactly.
It could only have been revealed from God.
Exactly.
This is very convenient for Muhammad.
No, but you can also say what is very convenient is knowing that the waves, underneath the waves are there, and knowing that the mountains are pegs. It's all the same in that sense, you know what I'm saying? We can't just pick out a specific thing and say, oh, it's convenient. We have to look at the whole picture. Like the people who say with the verses, oh, you say kill all non-Muslims. Hold on, look at the context about it. We have to look at the whole picture. How do you feel? A bit better?
I'm not 100%, but for now, can we move on to something else?
Sure, go ahead.
It's not a complete change of subject. Again, back to convenience. The convenience of certain verses in the Quran that were revealed, such as Muhammad being allowed to marry the wife of his adopted son.
Yeah.
What is the importance of this for a religion, for all peoples, that God would reveal that Muhammad can do this specific thing?
Yeah. Okay, good, very good. So we believe that the Prophet Muhammad, may peace and praise be upon him, isn't like any one from his nation, meaning the people who lived during his time and after him. We believe because he wasn't like us, God has given him some rulings that he has to apply that are specific to him. For example, praying in the night. We pray 5 times a day. There was a specific prayer that he had to pray during the night as well. And so there are certain rulings that are specific to him. One of them is that he ordered him to marry Zainab, the previous wife of his adopted son. That's a specific ruling to him. The wisdoms God knows. Another, for example, specific ruling to him was once he said to, it's actually a verse in the Quran, he said to Muhammad, peace and praise be upon him, ترجي من تشاء منهن وتؤوي إليك من تشاء. Meaning, your wives now, whoever you want, keep them. Whoever you decide to divorce, now's your time. From now on, you cannot change it. And so from that point onwards, he could not marry anyone else and he could not divorce anyone. Then divorce any of his wives. Again, specific ruling to him. So we had specific rulings and this was one of them.
Why would God specifically rule Zainab for Muhammad?
Ultimately, so again, this is one of the wisdoms of
She
God.
was a very beautiful woman, as far as I know.
I don't know, I never saw her. But but ultimately we say زوجناكها لكي لا تكون على المؤمنين حرج, meaning it was seen as an ease upon the Muslims, as according to the verse of the Quran. But the main thing is that this is from the wisdom of God. And if we're saying that there are specific rulings to the Prophet Muhammad, then we have to understand the context of these specific rulings as well. And maybe we won't understand the context of them because we are not the Prophet Muhammad. And we don't know his feelings that he felt. Or for example, his understanding that he had in regards to everything around him, or some things that he knew. Does that make sense?
We don't know the context.
No, we know the context, but do we truly understand? What I'm saying is, do we truly understand the wisdoms of God that for the reason around it? He said, okay, I'll get the exact verse. He gave us reason. But do we...
If you believe that it is God talking to Muhammad and revealing these things to Muhammad, sure. But I don't believe this, and I look at this verse about Zainab being able to, or Muhammad being able to marry Zainab, and the whole thing about adopted sons, it's not valid anymore. I can't remember specifically what was said. That's a good discussion right now. I'm enjoying this.
Okay. I remember, O Prophet, when you said to the one for whom Allah has done a favor and you two have done a favor. Oh wait, 1 second.
It's a favor.
Okay, 1 second. Keep your wife and fear Allah while concealing within yourself what Allah was going to reveal. And so you were considering the people, whereas...
While concealing within yourself what Allah was going to reveal.
From here, Mahal al-Shahid, meaning this is where the evidence is, what we're looking at. and so you were considering the people, whereas Allah was more worthy of your consideration. So when Zayd totally lost interest in keeping his wife, we gave her to you in marriage, so that there would be no blame on the believers for marrying the ex-wives of their adopted sons after their divorce. And Allah's command is totally binding. By the way, Prophet Muhammad himself didn't approach Zainab. God married him to Zainab.
But it does say, well, conceal him within yourself, as in the Prophet.
No, that's from before. That's from before. This is a different context.
For him, Allah has done a favour. You two have done a favour. Keep your wife in fear of Allah.
It's talking about how he was with the people. The main thing is here. And so you were considering the people, whereas Allah was more worthy of your consideration.
As in considering what the people would think if you married Zainab.
Yes. So when
So
Zayd,
does that not mean that the Prophet Muhammad wanted to marry Zainab? He had desire for Zainab.
I'm going to be totally honest with you, I didn't have knowledge of it. But the point is that it's ruling specifically to him, and we say this is from the Quran, and we believe it. But you can check that verse as well. You can read it, verse 37. Where's it gone? Verse 37, chapter 33. Yeah.
Look into it more and I'll see.
But I think, to be honest with you, the main thing is the main principles of Islam. Everything else you can kind of speak about and whatnot, but the main thing is that you understand the principles of Islam, and I believe you do, and I believe you agree with them as well.
Yeah, but there's just certain things like this within the Quran itself that, they just strike me as like, I don't know, materialistic maybe, maybe Prophet Muhammad, he wanted Zainab to marry her, but he was constrained by the laws saying you can't marry the wife of your adopted son. And then God reveals a verse saying you can, and it's not binding upon you. So you can do this.
Ultimately, there are, number one, I'd say to you, as you said yourself, Prophet Muhammad was a man. Peace and praise be upon him. He was a man. He wasn't an angel. So therefore, he has the desires that men have, generally speaking. He had the desires for women, just how we have desires for women. That's number one. Number two is that there are some things in the Quran that you say, okay, that happens to be very convenient for the Prophet Muhammad. But actually, if you look about it, there are some times in the Quran that God actually reprimands Prophet Muhammad. He says to him, Ya ayyuhan nabi, lima tuharrimu ma ahallallahu laka tabtaghi mardata azwajik. He said, Ya ayyuhan nabi, meaning, O Prophet, why do you prohibit that what God has made, what I have made, meaning God, halal for you? Meaning, it's okay for you to do, it's permissible. Why do you make it prohibited for yourself in order to please your wives? Why are you making something that is permissible prohibited?
What was this in reference to?
This is it's a long story, but reference to a difference, we can say, difference of opinion between the wives of the Prophet Muhammad and consuming honey. Okay, it's a side story. But the main thing is that he reprimanded him for an act that he done. Don't make what I have made permissible for you, prohibited. Why? Because it goes into religion now. And so to say, it was convenient for God, for the Prophet Muhammad, okay, but was it convenient for Prophet Muhammad to be reprimanded like this? So that's the point. That's the point, right? So it doesn't...
To show to the believing people that the Prophet Muhammad is not outside the law of Allah.
Beautiful. That's exactly the point.
Would be convenient.
He has to implement the religion of Islam himself.
It shows that it applies to him as well, of course.
Of course, exactly.
Yeah, but this would reconfirm the people in their faith, so it would be convenient. Muhammad, I think he was a genius, I think very smart man, very capable, obviously. But yeah.
I think
like he could have thought of these things tactically in his mind. If I reveal this verse from God reprimanding me, people are going to say this Quran.
Ultimately,
it's not Muhammad dictating to the people. It's clearly God dictating to the people because Muhammad is under the judgment of Allah Himself.
Exactly. Ultimately, you can say that all verses are convenient. Was it convenient for him to have restrictions, for the Prophet Muhammad to have restrictions in regards to who he marries from that specific time onwards and who he divorces? I say it's inconvenient for him though. That's my point. It's not to do with the Prophet Muhammad.
People would look at him differently if there was no restrictions on him as well. If he gave no restrictions to himself, say like certain Christian cult leaders you see in America, they take as wives the sisters and the daughters of their followers, and they say it's because God said I can do it.
Yeah, and then obviously we're proving the validity of the Quran, and that is from God. Because ultimately, how can we question God's judgment? God has said it. How can we question His judgment? You understand?
Me as a non-believer, I wouldn't say I don't know if God said it.
Then you have to. That's what we spoke about is the miracles and of the Quran that proves that Quran is true. You know it's true. In regards to the miracles that are in the Quran, you know the miracles are true, right? For example, the waves and the bees and whatnot.
Splitting of the moon, and I don't know if these things happen. I can't confirm it 100%.
That requires more research from yourself. But before I think we believe in the same principles. Generally speaking, I think I want to help you, push you to the right path. But I think that requires a bit more research from yourself and you asking questions to people like myself. And honestly, I'm there. You know, if you take my number.
This is why this place is so beautiful, man.
Exactly.
The dialogue, you know, it's only going towards the truth.
Exactly.
It's only going towards our personal development. You know?
But what I would advise you, if you allow me to advise, is a passing advice, which is number one, understand the whole concept of Islam in and itself. Once you understand that, you've got to start the journey of learning Islam. You will be in a better situation once you know the truth, accept it, become Muslim, and then research everything you need to research. Instead of looking at something from the outside, trying to find not necessarily flaws, but where you could go wrong before going into it. Why? Because you already believe in generally the main principles of God. You believe in the relationship between God and humans.
I would feel if I did something like this that maybe I'll open myself up to self-deception. Perhaps I could deceive myself if I take it all as true initially and then I do my research. But
one thing I can promise
if I'm
you.
so committed to it, maybe I won't question myself if something comes up that I would question, you know?
We've agreed on about 90%, I think, of stuff, generally speaking. We believe also in Satan as well, Shaitan. Yeah? And we believe that Satan, whenever he sees good, he wants to stop it.
I think you can see probably the work of Shaitan or evil jinns, some sort of malevolent spirit manifesting in people who aren't morally whole, you know. Like I see in you, you're clean, you talk, your discourse is very.
Hopefully, yeah.
You seem like a good person to me.
But that's our point.
I can see when I talk to other people, if they're going crazy and they're screaming and they're clearly full of hate, this might be some sort of malevolent influence, Shaitan, whatever you want to call it.
That's my point. When Shaitan sees you going towards good, he wants to stop you. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, whatever. So now I know, and you know deep down as well, you're making this journey towards God, to the right truth, Islam. He will try to stop you in every single way possible. And that is why I'm advising you, specifically my brother, that once you've agreed in the main principles of Islam, accept it. Because you don't know how Shaitan works. He's trying to attack you in order for you to not get this goodness, to not get Jannah in the next life, which is ultimately our goal. The goal is not this world.
I try to avoid like arrogance and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I try to not think I have all the questions figured out.
Because God is calling you, and I'm inviting you now to accept Islam. But obviously, what we need, we need to do more research before that, to look into the Quran and specifically the Prophet Muhammad.
You have like a book on.
We have loads of books.
Do you have hadith?
That's my specialist.
Really?
Yeah. So
You have anything you could give me? I'd appreciate.
I'll give you a couple of booklets, and also I'll give you my number. So if you have any, we'll go over there. One second. Just so this can be a bit more private, you know.
I can see that playing out. So we have Fanatics, which is
You know what? If you want, we can make you a Christian.
And obviously 100%. They don't have an element of skepticism where they can. of sanity. No, I believe it's a psychological. I disagree. I disagree that. Right? I disagree. I disagree with that. Meeting other human beings. If I meet someone who 100% believes something, my relationship with that phenomena is something which you realise this is unhealthy. This is an unhealthy place.
This is the thing. Regardless whether someone.
Oh, is it? Oh, wait, 5'8".
The best position.
I agree with what you said about the search of truth. I don't ever believe I'll arrive at 100% conviction that something is religiously, that something is true, and I worry about the idea that I will end up in that place. But I believe that the best thing I can do is follow that which is the most true thing I can see, the thing that has the highest truth claim. I think that's all I can do.
I hope you find.
I'm living it, you know, and you don't
Stand down.
no, I'm not 100% sure. I've just told you. I don't want to be 100% sure.
I hope you find. And I want the best for you.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Thanks for the conversation.
What's your name?
Let's go.
I'm a podcast. Yeah. Give me your please to look into it.
Hi, how you doing?
See you.
How are your names?
Jake.
Alexei.
Alexa.
Cleo.
Alexi.
Yes.
Sounds like I'm good. Abdullah.
I think we've spoken before. I think a few weeks ago. Maybe a bit when Hamza was here. I spoke to Hamza.
Oh yeah, were you asked? You were. What's your name again?
Alexei.
I think of someone else. No, I wasn't here with Hamza. I haven't met Hamza. I've only met Hamza here once or twice. I
Yeah?
haven't met him recently.
Oh, okay, because he was here a few weeks ago. I had to meet him. No, this is I always find that this is the nicest section.
No, that's good.
Because it's just, here to share some knowledge, not intrude the...
We're not here for arguments. We just want to clarify. Did you get a Quran when you came?
Yes,
Okay.
I've got a few now.
You got. Okay.
So I'm slowly reading it. But it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm interested.
Looking at the leaflets as well. Have you got one?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yeah. They're all free, by the way. So don't feel.
yeah.
And even the cakes.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Have you got any questions from what you've heard?
I would say my question is with Surah Al-Baqarah.
Yeah.
There is a bit about it when it talks about... See, I understand it was written in Medina. It was written during Muhammad's time in Medina.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So...
Certain verses where
in it, it's there's kind of like, I don't want to say a contradiction, but like kind of a confusion, in the sense that it's, at the beginning it says, do not try and convince the unbeliever, do not try and convert him, basically.
What verse is it?
At the beginning, Surah Al-Baqarah.
This is a book. Is it the second surah you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, this is a book which says no that guidance for those who are God conscious. So who are God conscious doesn't necessarily mean
Yeah.
God conscious of God.
So because it speaks a lot against the Jews in it as well. But I guess that's the manifestation of, because I understand that at that time the Jews they were the corrupted ones.
So
According to
in
Islamic.
terms of we believe the Jewish Torah and the Injil, they're not
full text.
And even if you look today and you go back and find the earliest